Okay, uh, we're back. We are back again. We are on tutorial number 8. That is 8 in a row. Um, okay, so what did we do yesterday? Yesterday we went over the interface as thoroughly as I could. We just went for the main menu items. We didn't really go through the panel on the right side. I don't even know what it's called. Uh, I just used call it the modify panel, but maybe that's not right. Um, oh, you know where I did see the name? Well, we'll get to that. Anyways, the panel on the right has a lot of tools built into it, and mine's a little bit different than yours. Um, but I will explain that as well. But where we left off is after I explained the interface, we started talking about modeling a phone stand. And I thought that would be a good kind of starter tutorial, just a place to begin. It's not a super tough project. It might be a super tough project if you're just starting out and you don't know much about uh, polygonal modeling or poly modeling. Um, Mine's not going to be perfect. I'm just doing it off the cuff. I have not practiced this. I just picked it because it was on my desk and I'm just going with it. I think if I overthink these tutorials, I'm just not going to get anything fun. I think the more I'm on the spot, the better I'll do because I kind of got to make it work. You know what I mean? So let's just get into it. We were doing the phone stand, and it is available in the underneath the video, the last one, the link to it. So if you want to do what I did, um, I ended up putting the image on a plane and stuffing it on the side over here, just so I could use it, so you guys could see it, and then I could model it. Because unfortunately, I didn't really think this through. I got to figure out a way that I can show you guys the model and then actually, or show you guys the reference image. Um, but this is the easiest way. I will get something better for the next time because right now I just want to get into the modeling of this. Um, so far we just have the symmetry modifier, and apparently we have a turbo smooth because I think I just showed how that kind of screws up the surface. We'll just get rid of that for now. So let's just focus on the symmetry modifier. Something we're going to talk about is the difference between quads and three-sided polygons. When I mean quads, I specifically mean four-sided polygons like this guy here. Okay, four-sided polygons, they just smooth and divide when you're using like a turbo smooth or a mesh smooth, or you're trying to add more geometry to a polygon object. Um, the best thing, in my opinion, and I think most people, this isn't like a Peggy Hill moment. I think that the most busiest shopping day is what was it, Thanksgiving? Isn't that what Peggy Hill said? But anyways, four-sided polygons, you're gonna get consensus that you want to keep as many polygons as possible unless you want a specific pinch somewhere. You want to keep four-sided polygons for smoothing, for deformation, for it's just the best way that the computer can compute a surface, especially when you're dealing with those things. So we want to make sure that a majority of our polygons, unless they're flat like these ones here, this is an n-gon, because as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides on that polygon. It's not super good. We could divide that, which we're going to do in just a second here, into an 8-sided polygon, or sorry, into 4-sided polygons, which will do us favors in the end. We're not animating this. We don't want it to jump around, bounce around, or anything like that. But in case in case we wanted to do anything with it, finishing it up as 4-sided polygons is the classy thing to do. So we'll be doing that classy thing. So let's just start right now. So we've got this n-gon, okay? And we got one underneath as well. We'll just do it to both sides just for practice. Otherwise, we can duplicate one to the other. So the first thing I would do is just grab the cut tool, and we'll just cut straight across here. Now, it's not going to look super great because we're just kind of doing it off the cuff. Let's deselect that. So we have this now. So that's great for this face, right? Now we got a 4-sided polygon. But now we've got this guy. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we got a 7-sided polygon. Well, what do? Well, we think about it mathematically in the same vein. So we'll cut across here, and then we're going to cut across the other dimension. Now, there is a specific way to cut down polygons. There's a method. I see these all the time, so I just know what to do. That's gonna be a separate lesson, okay? So the cut tool, okay, we're in face or edge mode. We can do it in vertex mode too. There's cut. But these three, it won't let you do it in border because you can only select a border in border mode. So like right here. Oops. Oh, you can cut in border mode. Oops. Anyways. Oh, I didn't delete that. This would be a border if I got rid of this face right here. There it is. Anyways, this is a border. I guess you can still cut in border mode. I didn't know that. So anyways, we are just going to cut straight across this. And I'm going to show you another way to cut across too. So let's just go like this. Let's go like that. Just cut straight across. We can go like that. And then, oh, look at this. We got a weird one here. Oops. We got this guy here. So let's go back into face mode. And we got this guy. Well, we could make a wonky cut all the way, or we could just use the slice plane tool. This is just an example. It's just showing you what tools you can use. Let's go to vertex mode so we can see the vertices that are going to pop in when we do the slice plane tool. And we're just going to put it right next to it. We don't have to worry. We will target weld those over, okay? So when we're ready, the slice plane tool is a tool that you can just kind of modify any way you want. So like if I rotate it like this, or I can turn it in a 45-degree angle. You know, I've got my snapping tool on, so it's going to snap. You can see in the bottom in the world coordinates, it's going up by 5 at the bottom there. Or the other way, it's going up by, or going down by 5. So let's just pop in a cut here. It's going to go all the way around, which is good because we're going to do it on the other side too. So let's just cut that guy. Let's go boop. And now turn off the slice plane, and it is there forever. Now let's just clean these up. They don't. So the reason we wanted this straight line here, I didn't want to do it by hand, because if I do it by hand, it's going to be off center. I have to move them anyways. But for this one, this is such a big cut. So let's target weld these into place. All right, so let's just go like this, because I like that natural corner I put in with a bevel or a chamfer. I like that corner. So that's still in the right spot. We will move all those over in just a second. Actually, let's move them over now. So let's select all these vertices here. Let's just go like this. And then we're going to snap them. Oops, I deselected that. We're going to snap those in line with this vertice. Okay, so turn on your move tool, W, turn on your snapping, and we're going to move it and snap it right to that. And now they're going to line up. Now we could do that with other, any vertice really. We could do it on this one, but look how janky that is. It's pulling these vertices over the edge. So we actually need to do that in this dimension now too, right? Because look, those don't really line up well. We want those to line up because we want to control the edge flow. Edge flow is essentially how your edge loops are following around a poly object. So edge loops are like this honker right here. This edge loop comes down and around and creates this nice juicy corner for us right here, okay? And then we've also got edge loops that go around here, but these edge loops don't continue because we have a cap here. This is an n-gon as well. We need to fix that. So anyways, let's get back and let's snap. See, this is kind of out of whack. So make sure you have your move tool selected. And let's just line these up with this guy. Okay, so just kind of cleaning house, making sure these look nice. And let's snap. Oh, these ones are off too. Look at that. So let's snap these with this edge one because we like this corner. This corner was made by the bevel or chamfer. I think it was made by the chamfer. Yeah, it was made by the chamfer. So we know that corner is solid. It's divided up really nicely into those 4 quads, and we can see it's very nicely rounded. So here's the issue, right? We got this solid top. Now we need to do the same to the bottom. Yeah, we could probably recut it or something like that, but there's other options. Okay, so we could go in our cut tool and we could go, grab the cut tool. We could click this guy and then we'll go over here, and then we could do that 3 more times. And that's fast. It's fine. And then we could snug them up. But let's do this instead. Okay, let's grab Let's undo that a couple times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just do this, just as an example. This is something you can do. It's not something you have to do. So let's grab these 3 polygons down here, and let's just grab them. And let's delete these, just as an example. All right, and now let's select all these ones at the top, and we'll move them down there. Okay, and then we're going to run into a problem. So let's grab these faces. Grab that, grab that, grab that, grab that, grab that. One of those, one of those, one of those, and 3 of these. Okay, so now we got this selected. Okay, the way that you can duplicate faces without extruding, okay, because if we hold shift and drag, so I click down shift, it's on the other monitor. If I hold shift and drag in either direction, it is going to extrude. Okay, if I extrude down, well, that kind of ruined everything, right? So instead of holding shift, which I'll just bring the keyboard up so you can see that. If I hold shift and drag, it gets all wonky here. Let's hold shift and control. Okay, shift and control, and then bam, I've got those polygons duplicated. Okay, we're not going to clone to a separate object. We're going to clone to an element. So it's a sub-object element in that polygon. Okay, so let's press OK. And then let's snug it up. So we still have our snap tool on, and it's right in the middle of this selection because the selection is flat. So vertically in the Z-axis, we should just be able to, don't click and drag with the shift or anything like that. So let's get the keyboard out of here. Let's just click and drag it and up here. Now, this looks all hunky-dory, except the bottom looks black. Now, the thing you have to realize is the faces that we duplicated, these top ones, they have a thing called normals. Okay, and the normals, the face normals, are facing the other way. So they're going to show black. Okay, and the way I know this is let's just pick a face and let's flip it. So let's pick this face and let's say flip right here. This is flipping your normal. I know it doesn't say it. You just kind of need to learn. You need to know. It's just something you won't run into all the time. So the face is now pointing the other way. You can't really see it, but I think when we render, it's going to freak out. It's going to show that face missing. Okay, so that's because the normal is facing the other way. Now we could do it with the ones next to it also. And although you don't see it on this guy, you know what? Let's change the color of this. Just, it might not show up. A bunch of grayscale stuff doesn't show up very well. Let's go with that guy. There we go. So when I rendered that, it was gone, right? Oh, it's not gone this time. Did I flip it back? Is that what I did? Jeez. Okay, now let's render it. There we go. Now it's gone. All right, and let's flip this one just for posterity. Okay, now, you know, if you select it, you can see them. But now that gives you a heads up. That's exactly what's happening to these bottom ones, right? So let's flip these back. So if we highlight them, we can see them a little bit better. So we'll flip this guy back. And we'll flip this guy back. And now, since we know what's going on here, that's why it's pitch black, it just doesn't shade correctly. It shades correctly in a weird angle, but like this, should be shading correctly. So we're going to flip this guy, and we're good to go. Okay? Now, problem is, they're not welded. Okay? So this set of faces, I could just pull off here, right? I could take them wherever I want. We need to weld these vertices. Now, because they are exactly in place of the extruded faces above it, we can just do a weld. Okay, so let's go to vertex mode and let's select everything. I mean, all these other vertices are not close enough. If we bring the tolerance really far down, okay, so if we open up our weld tool here, there's a box next to it, and the box is always for parameters. So if we just press weld, it is going to weld at the 0.01 threshold. Okay, but if we hit this cool little box next to it, it's going to open that open this dialog. Okay, so let's just move in the middle here. Let's say we upped our threshold quite a bit. So let's go like this. Oops. let's up it. It is going to show us what, like, we could do the whole thing and just grab everything, right? The threshold is way too high. As we bring it down, it's showing you that there's going to be a distance between what vertices are being welded. So right now there's actually no threshold, right? So what I'd like to do, just to make double sure, because sometimes your units could be off, and so something really close could weld together, and then you botched your entire project, right? It's a real pain in the ass. So I like to go with 0.01, not 0.1, 0.01. Okay, and now it'll tell you before there's 130 vertices, after there's 119. And that is going to do the perimeter down here. And we could just isolate that selection down here. We don't have to select everything. So you can see before it's taken away 11 vertices, okay, by welding that. So let's weld that guy. Let's hit OK. We can hit apply or OK. It's fine. I'll just say OK. And you can see the location of the gizmo jumped. That means it's got less to select because there are less vertices on one side. And now let's double check the bottom here. We still have it selected. And so let's turn off our snapping tool just because we don't need it. And now you can see it's welded. It's pulling the rest of the geometry with it. Okay. So before we go too far, we gotta work in some things here. So right away, I'm noticing there's an n-gon right here. Okay, so let's zoom in on this guy. This is not a 4-sided polygon. This is a 2, 4, 5-sided polygon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-sided polygon. Okay, right away we know we could split this right down the middle, and then look at that. So let's just do it. If we do that, we're gonna get 4 and 4. So click there, and we'll click there. So now we got 4 and 4, but the problem is now we got a 5 right here, right? This whole side is going to be a 5. Well, that's not a problem because I'm actually going to put an edge loop right down the middle so I can finish this off. It's not going to be seen. Like, it's just a posterity thing. It's good practice just to work on your edge loops to make sure that you keep consistently doing 4-sided polygons. But if you use, smoothing groups, it really doesn't matter. It's something I like to do because I never know what I'm going to use this for. Maybe if I sell a model or I want to reuse it in the future, or just, I'm rehashing a surface. Like, oh, I could really use that rounded base of the phone stand I made. Well, shit. I mean, well, anyways, if I want to reuse it, if I want to reuse it, let's just do it the right way. So I'm going to put an edge loop down this whole thing. So this is the next kind of lesson, I guess, is let's just talk a little bit about edge loops and how to pop them in real quick. So right here, we have an edge loop that technically goes down the entire side. So it's going to go from there all the way over here. And I want to put an edge in. Now I could meticulously use the cut tool and, go beep, 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 and that sucks, right? I'm making noises. I make noises. Or I guess I could use the slice plane tool, but then I got to take out geometry. Because if I bring this down, see the gizmo over here? If I bring this down, and then, I don't know, bring it down to maybe here, that's a cut halfway through. That's not half bad, right? That's not awful. So that gizmo right there just gave me a nice cut. You can see the tool over here. It's not big enough. We can actually scale up the cut tool gizmo just so you can see it better. So that's the cut tool gizmo. It's kind of small to start off. So, if we leave it here, we could cut around. But then if you look, then I got to clean up this side. Like, I got to remove those edge loops. And it's not like it'll take real long, but it just kind of sucks. So we're going to use this other method. Okay. So in this program, you can select the edge loop and the edge ring. Okay, the ring is going this direction. So if I double click this, look how it gives me that entire ring, right? That is a ring of edge loops. Well, what is the other direction called? Well, that is called the loop of an edge ring. Edge ring, edge loop? Yeah, edge ring. So to select that, there is a button for both. Okay, if you double click an edge loop, it'll highlight it for you. I think it's like control click or shift double click. Let's just try that. Shift double click right here. No, maybe it's control double click. No, that doesn't sound right. Control double click. It is. It's control double click. Okay, so if you control double click, you will get a nice edge ring instead of an edge loop. Okay, so those shortcuts are awesome. But like I said, I don't always use the keyboard. So there are buttons for this. Okay, and they're awesome. So in case you don't want to remember those, but you should. Control clicking, regular double clicking, not hard. Easy stuff. They're located in two spots, right? So we're just going to go with the modify panel, but we'll talk about the, what do you call this thing? The ribbon up here a little later. There's a lot of icons. There's a lot of buttons. Let's just get used to them over here. But you can see loop and ring. Okay, so that's where they're located up here. But I'm used to it over on the right side panel. The ribbon was brought in like 8 years ago, 9 years. So like I've been using the modify panel for forever. So there's just different ways to do the same thing. It's whatever works for you. Okay, so I'm going to select here. And then there is loop and ring. And so if I click ring, and I coincidentally have a shortcut right here also. This is my edge ring. This is my edge loop. What we can do is there's a button called connect. And it's going to connect the line halfway down the loop. Okay, it's right here. It's called connect. If we press it once, it's going to pop it right down the absolute center. That's really important to remember. If you want to divide a surface of edge rings, what you need to do is just make sure this is default. It's going to drop it right down the middle. Okay, it's going to cut it in half. It'll do it anywhere. So let's select this one. I'm going to select that and then say edge loop. I'm sorry, edge ring. Jeez, I think I know what I'm doing here. Edge ring. Okay, now I want to divide this. Same button, connect. Perfect, right? Well, there's actually other things it can do too. So let's go into the, I guess, settings. That's the tool parameters that come up. So you've got, oops, nope, that's weld. We don't want that. We want connect. Sorry about that. So we've got these parameters. We've got pinch, slide, and segments. Segments, very straightforward. Look how many segments it's put in. Quite a few. That is 64. We don't want that. We right click it, goes back to 0. You could type it in manually. That's fine too. So let's put in 2. And let's see what happens when we do pinch. What do you suppose it's going to do? Oh my God, it's pinching together or it's pulling apart. Okay. It's beyond your wildest dreams. It's fantastic. And then slide is the same thing, except it's just sliding from left to right. Okay. So these are really handy. Sometimes you want to add an edge loop that is real close to both sides. So instead of manually putting an edge loop in, because you can do that, and I'll show that to you in a second, instead of doing it that way, instead of manually putting it in one at a time, or watch this, we'll just connect and oops, it changed the default parameters. So we got to change those back. So hit connect, right click the segment, right click the pinch. It's back to 0, hit OK. And now it's like, okay, let's snug it up, right? Like I want to snug this up. Let's look at the top here. I want to snug that up right next to that edge loop. Oh, that one sucks. Maybe it's not exactly perfect. Let's do this again. So let's do the edge ring and let's connect again. And then by hand, look at that. There's a difference. They're not really snugged up. Look at that. There's like, I would have to do it by hand. Like, oh man, I want it perfect. And maybe I just suck. You know, I don't want to figure it out. So, anywho, what you can do is instead of that, or putting in insert an edge loop, you can use the pinch. Okay, so let's put that in one more time, just undoing till it goes away. Okay, so the edge ring is selected. Let's hit the connect. And with the pinch, now I can depict exactly where I want those to be snugged up at. And then just by saying, okay, we're good to go. Okay. Maybe I don't want them in there. You can just remove. There's a remove button here. It will not remove the vertices if you just click remove. Okay. If we flip it to that, look, there's still some vertices here. So what I would say, if you're going to do that, is make sure you hold control when you do that. Okay. So if I put those edge loops in, let's just put an edge loop in. Let's just say do the defaults. Right click that so it goes back to 0. Right click that so it goes back to 0. Pop that in, and now let's say, oh, I'm not happy with that. It's terrible. Or maybe I want to get rid of the one next to it. Just double click, select the whole thing, hold Control, and then press Remove, because it specifies the entire ring removal, and now you don't have the vertices that you once had. Okay, so we're kind of getting wrapped up in the tools. I just wanted to add an edge loop in, then I went off on a tangent, okay? So let's just add this edge loop in and call it a day, all right? So let's select the edge here. Not call it a day, but, move on with the tutorial, right? Okay, so let's do this. Let's just hit connect, or let's get the ring here. And if we zoom out, let's just see how much of the ring it grabbed. It should have grabbed the whole thing. I think it did. It went around the side there. You can see that's selected, and you can see that's selected. So what we're going to do, and then we're going to cut to get from there to there. So now we can add the connect in. Default places it right in the middle. Looks very nice. And then we'll zoom in right here. And we're just going to connect that segment. Okay. So we'll use a cut instead. So we'll click here and there. Perfect. So now we got 4-sided polygons. What? Looks beautiful, I know. All right. So right now we don't have 4-sided polygons elsewhere. And we are going to get rid of this guy for now until we duplicate it. So on the in and out side here, we've got this guy. Oops. Let's go into face mode here. Let's select this face, and let's select this face. Okay, we got both sides selected. Let's focus in, and let's rotate around this guy. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to hold Shift and Scale, and we're going to get an edge loop on the inside of both. Okay, we could pull in just the X, or sorry, the Y and the Z. Doesn't matter. Or we could do in all three, because technically one of the dimensions doesn't have any scale. So if we scale this down, it's really not going to make a difference. Okay, so we'll go like that, and we're going to go like that, and then we're going to do something awesome. Okay, we are going to delete these. Actually, let's scale one more time. That's good. And we're going to delete these. And we're going to grab these edge loops. Okay. So we got one on each side. Let's select them both. And we're going to collapse them in the Y and the Z. Okay. There's actually shortcuts to it up here. So if we hit Y and then we hit Z, oops, it's actually X because I'm rotated in the X dimension. It's going to collapse them into a single point. Okay. But we haven't welded the inside yet. As soon as we weld the inside, we can no longer use the edge ring tool because the edge ring doesn't work off triangles. So the triangles here would stop us from doing a nice circular selection. But what I'm getting at here is that we want to keep with the 4-sided polygon issue, or 4-sided polygon method. So we need to get rid of this guy, this guy, this guy on both sides, okay? Because at the center of this, we can have 4-sided polygons, and it'll look very nice. It's just good practice, okay? So we've scaled those in, and we've dropped this down. So this is collapsed in. It is an open border. So before we merge these vertices, because we've got a whole bunch, if we go to vertex mode and select this guy, we've got, how many? 16 vertices selected right there. Which means if we select both right through the middle, it means we got 32. And if we collapse that, it'll be much less. But before we do that, let's do this. There's a cool tool. I guess we're going to talk about the ribbon. So this was our edge ring, right? If we click this guy, bam, look, it selected all the edges, right? We can do the same here. Select that, select the ring. Look at that. It does a very nice job selecting that. I'm just going to show you real quick. If we merge these vertices, let's just hit merge, or weld, sorry, weld. It's merge vertice in Maya, which is kind of what I grew up on. But anyways, if I hit weld, and then let's say I want to do that same selection here. So go back to edge, select that, and press this ring button. It doesn't work anymore. That sucks. It's going to work on the next one, but that's because it's connected to four-sided polygons. And it's well, technically it's because it got rid of the edge loop. This edge loop isn't there, so these come to an end. Okay, so we're going to unweld that, and we're going to do a cool selection, okay? Let's make sure we went back far enough. Weld vertice. There we go. We'll say undo. Okay, so now if I reselect in the middle, I should have, oops, selected the one on the other side. If I select right here, I should have 16. Yep, 16 vertices. So they're all stacked on top of each other. If I just start moving them around, you should be able to see them. So let's go back and select this ring. So remember how we selected the ring? It's right here. Edge ring tool. Instead of ring, let's do every other. It's this sweet option they built in. So we don't want to select this one because this one, if we remove it, it lines up with the axis. That means we don't want to get rid of this one, this one, this one, or this one. We can get rid of these in-betweens, though, because if we do, we'll have four-sided polygons. So let's select this one, and now let's hit this button right here. It's the every other edge ring, okay? So you select that, and check that out. It got rid of each one of those, or well, it selected each one of them. Now if we press remove, gone. And that's going to smooth really nice. I'm going to show you the difference between both sides now. So the other side is together. So let's merge this guy real quick. Let's just select that. Let's merge, or weld, sorry. And then let's do the other side. Let's weld. Oops, didn't mean to click and drag there. There we go. So let's keep selecting on the other side. So let's select that guy. You're probably better with your selections, but anyways, so let's weld that guy. Now, let's just put a turbo smooth on here just to see what happens. And let's make sure we got this smoothing groups on, just posterity. Okay, so this is a nice ended edge loop, okay? Notice how these vertices stay these polygons are four-sided. They look really good. Now let's flip to the other side. And look at this one. There's a bunch more. We don't need all this topology, right? It's dividing those triangles. So if you turn that off, it's dividing those triangles into four. If you divide these, you'll get four. It's just how the software calculates any type of smoothing. But there's extra geometry we don't need here. It's kind of useless. So we cut down on a significant amount by just getting rid of that extra edge loop, or edge ring. Sorry, edge ring. I don't usually talk out loud when I do this. Like I said, I haven't taught or anything like that in quite some time. So, anywho, it's just good practice to do that. Okay, so let's just do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so let's, we got the turbo smooth off. Let's grab these edges. Now we can't, unfortunately, use that every other ring tool because they are merged. So this is what you have to do. Just control click each one, every other, like that, like that, like that, like that, and like that. And now when we remove those, don't control, just regular remove because the vertices need to stay. Now when we turn the turbo smooth back on, we can see the sides match up. Okay, looks very nice. Symmetrical as well. It's kind of important. Okay, so let's zoom back out here. And we don't actually need turbo smooth on right now. We got to do some other stuff. So let's turn off the turbo smooth. And did we merge all those vertices? Just want to make sure all those vertices got merged. Yep, all of them. Okay. All right. So now let's finish off this bottom piece, right? We're gonna merge it over. So technically we don't need to do the other side. So I'm looking at it straight on and I'm thinking, you know what? On this picture over here, it's looking a little skinnier than I think I have. So what I'm going to do is maybe pull this side in a little bit, because I'm thinking that I'm going to drill a hole right here that correlates with this hole right here. Okay, because I want to get mine as close to that one. In fact, I think it's a little smaller. Looks a little skinnier. That's a skinny hole right there. And I think the base is tapered, so that's something we got to think about too. So let's do this. Let's just leave it like that. I think that's good. It's not going to be perfect. Like I said, this is our first model. We're just kind of going at it, and I just didn't really make a lesson plan. But yeah, I didn't want to. I'm just going to freeform this. It's like, I don't know, skateboarders and stuff. They just free ride. We're just free modeling. We don't care. Maybe you care. Sorry if you care. We're just kind of going at it. Okay. So let's see here. Maybe we'll sneak it out a little bit more. No, I think that looks nice. Because I think we're going to drill a hole right there. And you should know how to do that. I'm just kidding. If you don't, it's fine. We're going to do it together. It's going to be just fine. Okay, so those look a little oblong. They look a little longer than they are wide, and they're rounded. Okay, so they might take a couple extra. So let's just, we could do this. We could just add an edge ring, right? Or an edge loop. Sorry, jeez, got the words. So there's ring and loop, and then there's edge loop, edge ring, nomenclature. Anyways, so we could do that. There's also another option. We could undo that. There is an insert swift loop, okay? So let's get rid of that guy. Instead of selecting all those, you can click this guy up here. It says swift loop. And then you can see where it's going to put it in before you actually drop it. So if you just mouse over these areas, it shows you the direction of the edge loop that you'll be dropping this onto. Now, the problem with this one is it doesn't divide it, if that matters to you. If you're trying to put in an edge loop that is exactly, I don't know, an edge loop that's like exactly halfway in the middle here, well, you kind of got to eyeball it. But when you do it this way, bam, you know that sucker's right in the middle. That's not really important here because we're just free modeling. So either way is fine. Let's put that right there. And let's start drilling in. Let's start drilling this in here. Okay, so at the top and the bottom, we got the same, that edge ring, edge loop, whatever. Edge loop, not edge ring. Sorry. That edge loop goes all the way around. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do an inset. So let's select these top two faces. So I went into face mode. You can press number 4 on your keyboard. And now I'm going to press the inset button. Okay, so can't see it yet because there is no inset. But as soon as I start to drag this up, you can see it's putting in like a perfect size shape that is insetting that shape within itself. Okay, so if you look at this one, there's a distance between the edge of this, and it's pretty tight. So we'll maybe make this a little bit bigger, and we'll say, okay, now what we can do, we should probably do, we can do it to the top of the bottom. Let's do it to the top of the bottom. That way we have to do less trips. Okay, so if I had thought this through, I would have just put a shell modifier on this and called it a day. But I started with this extrusion method, and I didn't think it through. You can always change halfway through if you really want. But I think this is going to work. So we're going to drop that in like so. Let's say OK. And now a cool thing to do, if you don't want to select vertices, you can control click vertices right here. So if you control click, it is going to change your selection from faces to vertices. So now I have the vertices selected instead. Okay. But I have some extra vertices I don't really want. So I am going to deselect these middle ones right through so I get rid of the top and the bottom. So now I just have those corners selected. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, it's going to be a little sloppy. It's going to be a little hacky, but whatever. I'm actually going to drop an edge loop right down this center, okay? So I'm going to select the one edge, and if you control double click, it is going to give you the edge ring. Let's click the wrong one, edge ring. So now I got a ring that goes right down the middle. So I'm going to say connect, and so I'm going to get this perfect bit right down the middle, okay? So now, if I select these faces, let's just select the top ones here. So deselect the bottom ones, hold Alt, drag over the bottom to get rid of those bottom ones. And all I got to do is shift drag down and it will extrude right through like a magic trick for me. Okay. So that's kind of cool. So I know what you're thinking. Now, if I turbo smooth it, it's not going to look right. It's going to look a little janky. Turbo smooth. It's not perfect. It's not perfect by a stretch. So let's undo and let's think. What should we do to get this more chubbily rounded hole? Well, since this inside shape, we could probably just grab. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to say edge ring. And then I'm going to convert that selection by control. You can control click polygons. Okay. I have a button for it because, like I said, I just can't press all these buttons. So I'm going to go like that. So now I got this inside selection. Okay. Now instead of scaling it or instead of re-drilling that hole, I'm just going to use my scale tool and drag it in those two dimensions so that it stays generally ratioed to that rectangle. Okay. So now I'm going to grab these edges that I had. I'm actually going to get rid of the inside edges and I'm going to chamfer them so I have a more rounded hole in it. Okay, so now I just have the corners selected. See that? I just have the four corners of that inset selected. So now, if I do chamfer, that's way too much first off. So let's bring that down. And then we're going to select this guy here, uniform, and we're going to drop this down a little bit. We're going to get rid of the segments. We do not need that many segments. We do need 3 though, or sorry, 2, so that we have 3. So we need that. Now we can pump this up and get kind of a more chubbier hole in it. Maybe looking at that picture, it's kind of rounded. It's kind of not. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm kind of happy with that. Okay, so let's do one of those. Well, is it? Maybe another segment. Yeah, that's better. Now we're rounded out. It's kind of close. You know, and we can always make it bigger. It's not a problem. Okay, so let's do like that. And let's scale this up. So let's grab the ring again. And then convert it to faces. So control click your face mode or polygon mode. So I'm changing to that selection. You can hear my cat again. And I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. So it's a little bit chubby as the whole. Okay. My scale is a little bit off because, like I said, I'm just going at this, but typically it's okay. So as you can see here, we're having 4-sided polygons. So it's going to be okay as long as we use smoothing groups appropriately. So right now it's a little janky, but watch this. So there's a nice selection by angle. Okay, so select that guy. And we're going to select this. And when we select by angle, it just selects all the polygons in that angle. So as long as it doesn't go beyond 45 degrees, so like this is a 90-degree turn, or like it should grab all these, right? Yeah, because 45 degrees right here. As long as you have this by angle, select, oops, sorry, let's do it. Select this. Let's just change this smoothing group to 32 right there. And so now when we turbo smooth it, kind of get it. Oh God, it's broken. Oh, you know why? You know why? It's because those vertices in the corner aren't welded. So let's just grab all these, hit weld, and move on with our life. I didn't see that. There we go. So now, if we deselect this thing, let's not worry about the faces right now. We're just looking at the outcome. It looks pretty okay. It could be a little bit rounder. I don't disagree with that. But if we line it up, it's not awful either. Okay, so when I said that we had, I needed to merge, what I meant was that when I did that bevel, or sorry, when I did that chamfer, it stacked, oops, I gotta do this. It stacked some vertices on top of itself, okay? So let's undo this and I'll show you what I mean. So this is back where it was. So when I did this chamfer, let's go back into vertex mode here and get rid of turbo smooth because there's too many vertices. Select this guy and click here. So when I did this chamfer, it added this set of edges, okay? Now it stacked it on top of this guy. And when that happens, unless you move it out of the way, you're going to get some funny business. So this works, but we remain working with four-sided polygons if we just hammer that out. Now I'm going to clean this up because this is not how you do it. I just wanted to get this inner shape laid in. But let's just redo that because it's just quicker for now. Okay, so let's snap this back on top so we know where it is. And then just select these ones. It's actually just these four corners. So it'd be this guy. But it's on top and the bottom, right? So it'd be this corner, this corner, this corner, and this corner, but on the top and the bottom. Okay. So like I said, this isn't perfect, but we're going to fix it up. So let's do that. Let's weld that guy. And unfortunately, it just doesn't have nice edge looping here. And we can add a nice edge loop because these are all four-sided polygons. And we can put a couple extra edges in here and just make it beautiful. So we're going to do that. Not right this second, though. I want to keep going because that's like nitpicky stuff. I mean, technically this is okay, but we could make it okay. Okayer, sorry, that's what I meant. So let's just kind of keep going. I want to get a couple more concepts knocked out before we're done here today. So I want to, let's get this extra piece back here that I deleted. Let's put that back in. So we're actually going to use this by angle again. Let's select that guy. Oops, let's not do that because it's selecting way too much. Or we can just turn it off and deselect this other stuff. So let's deselect these guys and these guys. Okay. And let's turn off our snapping tool so it doesn't get stuck when we click and drag. Hold Shift and Control and drag right here. Okay. And let's just clone to object this time. What the hell? All right, so that's going to be a separate object. And I'm just going to do something really quick to that. Okay, so let's deselect that. Let's select this new one. Oops, I have Shift selected still, or Shift Control selected still. So let's select this guy. Let's do edge mode, or let's do border. So border is the same as an edge loop that has nothing connected to it. So if we go into edge mode and double click this guy, oops, sorry, the outside one, it would select it in the same way as if we just selected border. Okay, it's the same thing. So we've got this outside border selected, and let's do one of these. And then we'll actually fix the smoothing groups on this real quick. So let's go like this. And we don't have that inside one, so let's just cheat really quick. So let's leave it like that. And let's use the symmetry modifier. Why not? And it is symmetrying in the wrong dimension. Okay, it's going in the X. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay, now as you can see, it's way too far away, right? So if we want, we could snap this, but to get to the gizmo, Actually, I got my tools in the way. I apologize. Uh, Zoom out a little bit. The gizmo is in the center here. Now, if I just click and drag, it's going to move the whole object. If I want to move the modifier gizmo, it's in here, hiding. Okay, this little triangle. That's how you control the gizmo. Now, just like anything, you could turn on the snapping tools, like right here. Click that guy. And now the snapping tool is on. I could just snap it right to there. Now, this is not very thick at all, right? This should be like terribly small. So I'm actually going to turn off my snapping tool and bring it closer because it will create a symmetrical edge loop for me right at the center if it all lines up, which it does. It lines up in that axis. So let's go like this. And then let's just add an editable poly. And then, so it still has the symmetry in there, but we've added an editable poly on top of it. We could turn this off, but not a good idea. We need that symmetry. Otherwise, it's empty in the middle, right? So, because we just did the cap, basically. We extruded the cap. So let's go into editable poly and let's define the smoothing groups real quick. So let's, the quick way to select something here, let's just double click this middle edge loop. So I want the, instead of selecting one at a time, oops, jeez. Instead of selecting all these faces, right? Like if I wanted to go around this whole thing, God, that sucks, right? Cool selection. Grab your edge selection, double click right down the middle, and then control click face or polygon. Now you got that center. Okay, so back to our discussion about smoothing groups. This we want to smooth separately from the sides, okay? Because this puppy was manufactured, right? That is a sharp edge. If we just don't do that, let's just deselect this guy. If we just select this guy and then add a turbo smooth, like that's not what we want. Luckily, it has smoothing groups built into it. I think it has none, so it's going to do everything separately, which is great. But let's just define it anyways. Okay, so if we're going to go into this edit poly, let's turn off turbo smooth here. The outside, we would define this as, let's just say 31. And then the other sides, and we could turn on the biangle so we don't have to select each individual. We could put these as, oh, I already had 2, that's why it worked. We could do this one as 31. And we could do this one as 31 also. Okay, so since these ones were already selected as 2, then they are going to smooth separately than this one. That's why it already worked with turbo smooth on. That's because it was already dictated that those sides were a part of a smoothing group as number 2. But now we've just redone it as 32 and 31 and 31. So, I mean, we could take them off and do it again, but hopefully you get the idea. Now, I like to keep my, what do you call it? My pivot here exactly where it is. So I am just going to move these guys in. Okay, I know the turbo smooth is on and it's not the best practice right here, but I'm just going to move that in for now because it's really sharp, really close. There's just a small gap. So if I turn this on and I turn this on, let's just test what that gap looks like. Now we could up our turbo smooth like 1 iteration or maybe 2, depending on how tight we want that to be. And since it's the same basic face structure, we're going to get the same circulatory on that spot. We're going to get a little issue there. We might have to poke that in because it doesn't look as round. But we can fix that with smoothing groups. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a render of this guy and let's just see what it looks like. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. All right. So let's duplicate this base piece to make our back piece. Okay. So I am going to turn off the turbo smooth and the symmetry modifier. Instead, I am just going to grab some faces here, some polygons, and I'm just going to duplicate them and do what I want with them. So I'm going to grab these. Since this is kind of the offshoot that we're using. Again, this one's not going to be perfect, but it's not going to be too bad either. So Shift Control, hold Shift and Control, and we're going to make a new object out of these objects. Okay, we're going to put them right. We'll just make sure they're off a little bit. Yeah, and let's say clone to object. Yep, let's make sure it's separate object. We'll say okay. Okay. I'm seeing that this center piece is a lot wider than this side piece. If you look down here, I don't know if you can see where I'm looking, but this piece is thinner, or it's not as wide as this center piece. This center piece is about maybe a third bigger. So what we're going to do, we want to keep this corner the way it is. So we're going to select this guy. We're going to move this guy over maybe to there. Sure. And we can get rid of that edge loop there if we want. So let's just go like this for now. We'll get rid of that. We don't really need it right now. And then we've got this piece that's kind of missing over here now. Got sucked under the geometry. And let's move this guy over. So let's select that. Let's turn off. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's on or off because we can only select the low poly version, right? So let's just move that back over. Maybe we'll zoom in a little bit just to kind of get a nice gap there, real close so it emulates the picture. And then let's zoom back out. And let's work on our next piece. So now we've got this guy, right? Now this one is pointing upwards. This is the back piece. This is like if you're sitting, this this roll here is your butt, and this is your back. Maybe this is your neck and your chin. So what we need to do is the axis. Let's just change the axis of this guy. And I mean, we could mirror it too. We could like, yeah, we could just mirror it. Let's just mirror it. Let's go like this. So I have the shortcut here. You can just add it by going here and say mirror in the mix. You can do that, and we'll do, I don't know which one it would be. I think it's this one, but we'd still have to rotate it. That's the problem. Yeah, we'd still have to rotate it. So whatever, let's not mirror it. Let's just change the pivot point of this guy. Let's just select only this object. Okay. And it made my picture disappear. Sorry about that. Okay, let's make sure that the pivot is exactly where the pizza slices are, because that's where we know is the actual symmetrical center of this object. Like that. And let's just pick the halfway point here too. In fact, we could probably get rid of that because we don't need that edge loop quite yet. Okay, now let's get that back. This is your isolate selection button. So let's do this. Now that we're in object mode, let's turn it around 180 degrees, just like that. And now let's rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. Now we've got the back piece pointing upwards, but now it's not on the symmetry line. So that's something we need to work on. Okay, so let's go to Edit Poly and let's start adjusting this. So I am actually going to get rid of that center edge loop there. So double click this guy. You can use your selection tool or your move tool, doesn't really matter. Hold Control and hit remove. Okay, now that's gone. So are the vertices. If you don't hold Control when you press remove, those vertices are not going to disappear. They'll just be floating there and it's going to suck. So now let's turn off the snap because we don't want it to snap to that. We want a tiny sizable gap, right? We want this super tiny gap that this one's got right there, right there. Looks good to me. And then let's make sure this side is snugged up to the center axis. Now I can click and drag all day and try to get it perfect, but this is the exact use for right-clicking the spinner right here to go to 0. Okay, so right-clicking that. And now we got this side actually really don't need this side, right? Because we're probably just going to use the symmetry modifier to duplicate the other side, right? So let's just select this by angle, select right there, and delete. Now, it doesn't matter if we kept it, because like I said, it's going to be the symmetry, but if any of these are off, it's just good to know. Okay, so let's do this. Let's bridge, let's make a straight polygon right here, and then we're going to extrude this backside. We're just going to kind of make it up as we go. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to get close. We're going to eyeball it. Okay. Now, each one of these pieces looks like they kind of taper outward, and that's something we can work on. See, there's like a little bit right here that makes it look like maybe this tapers outward. And then here, this looks like it tapers inward. I don't know if it's just the fold. I have the object on my desk, but I got a phone in it, so I can't really tell. So let's just do a couple processes here. So first one being, let's bridge right here. So we got two edges. Make sure you're in edge mode, and you can kind of line that up how you like. I am going to get right on top so you can see what this does. And if you have two edges that don't have anything connected to them, you can bridge them. So let's do this. Press your bridge button, click the first one, and then click the second one. And that's all it takes. That's it. Okay. Now we've got the back, and we can extrude that upwards because we know it's aligned vertically because of how we extruded it earlier. But we could check, we could double click, or I mean, we could double check by turn off the bridge tool, select this, and oops, make sure you're in face mode. Get rid of some of this other stuff right now we don't need. And we could just align it by that dimension. It's not the Z, I think it's the Y, I apologize. I get these mixed up quite often. So when you select these, they're going to align, smash them into the dimension that they're aligning with. So if I hit X, it's going to smash it like that, right? If I hit Y, it's going to, or Z, it's going to smash it in the other way. We don't want those two. We just wanted to double check that it's perfectly facing upward. That face, this face right here, like I said, if we smash it in those other dimensions, no bueno. But we're good now. Okay, so it is facing like 90 degrees vertically. Okay, we could test that with one of the tools. There is a angle measurement, a protractor tool that we'll show you some other time. But regardless, it is great where it's at. Okay, so let's do this. Let's extrude this up, and let's think of this piece on that side. Okay, so maybe it goes up like this. I don't know how far it goes. But what we could do is a little animation trick. It's kind of messed up. I don't know. It's kind of early for this type of stuff, but what the hell? If you turn on your set key and then you key it in the position you like and then change it to another key and then, I don't know, rotate it 5 degrees forward, maybe 20 degrees, so you can kind of see the shape we're making here, and then key it in that position. Now make sure you turn off set key because we don't want to make any more keyframes. We can see what it looks like if we rotate it in that position, but then we can model it in this position, okay? So I'll show you what I mean. So now we need to extrude this face outward, just that face. And it looks like I got too many, I just want this face. But I have by angle selected, so that's not good. So let's select that face, there we go. And then W, and then hold shift and drag, and then we're going to bring it out some, like right there. Maybe it matches up. Maybe it matches up to that spot right there. So let's actually turn on the snapping tool. And let's just make sure it snaps with that right there. Okay, so that's close. And then we're going to drop an edge loop right down the middle. This is for measurements, okay? So we're just going to say connect. And then, since there's another bit up here. See, there's this other piece up here that is the what do you call it? That's kind of the neck. It's the neck. It's the next hinge. We are going to add a a symmetry modifier, and we're going to move that symmetry modifier depending upon where it is, but we're going to flip it in the right dimension first. So I just made sure it's reflecting in the Y. Turn off your snapping tool, and let's drag it up. Oops, we got to get in the gizmo. The gizmo is here, the dimension is here. And let's bring it up. And then let's snap it to this part that I insert the connect. So something like that. I don't know if that's perfect. It actually seems like it might be a little longer. Yeah, I think it's a little longer. So maybe that cut didn't help us too much. So let's just go up a little bit. Maybe like that. Jeez. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And I'm happy with that. And then let's actually add a editable poly modifier, and we're going to pull out these edge loops, okay? Because I'm pretty sure that this tapers in a little bit here, and then it looks like to me at least that this isn't as thick as the bottom one. This center one up here looks like it's not as thick as the bottom one. Is it? It's just so hard to tell. Maybe it is the same size. Maybe my eyes are just garbage. But this looks thinner, doesn't it? Right here? This looks thinner than this does. So that tells me that this tapers inward. Yeah. Okay. So just follow along with me here. It's going to be a little crazy. And we actually need to do some of these chamfers separately. Actually, we don't. Let's do this first one down here. So let's get rid of the editable poly first. And let's do the chamfer down here, and then we'll fix the chamfer up because it's just gonna look hideous. But that's our job, is to clean this up. So we're gonna grab this this edge here. And let's just chamfer this guy. Where is my chamfer? There it is. Let's move this out of the way so we can see it. And let's get like 3 edges. Okay. So don't worry about that surface there. Those polygons are garbage. It looks pretty hack, right? Yeah, it does. Because we don't want, I mean, these are 4-sided polygons. That's fine. This one isn't. That's a 3-sided polygon. It's terrible. But what we'll do is we'll cut those in and then we'll clean this up. It'll look real nice. Okay. But I want this here. So I'm going to say, okay, I want this here so that it shows up at the top when my symmetry modifier goes on. So let's get out of this and let's zoom out. And then there it is up at the top. Okay. And now we got to clean that up. Okay. Because this looks really kind of crummy. And then we got to think about how we want to cut in this this rectangle in the middle here. Okay. So let's just observe for a second. So we got this nice chamfer down here. We definitely need to do a chamfer here and here. But since I think this tapers in, these chamfers will be different because this is going to be angled in. So let's do this first. Let's add an editable poly. And let's remove, how long have I been going here? Oh my God, we're at an hour and 10 minutes. Oh, jeez. Okay. So let's go a little faster. The last one was an hour and a half. I feel like these lessons might go a little long. Like, I hope you have the attention span, or you care. Anyways, all right. So let's double click these. Let's get rid of some of these. We're at an hour and 10 minutes. Okay. So we're gonna hold Control, and we're gonna say remove, so we can get rid of the vertices also. Okay. Now we've got these edges down here. Oh, you know what? We don't want to do that yet. Let's not do that yet. Let's clean this up. So it'll clean it up on both sides, so we don't have to do it. Okay, so let's do edge mode. And let's isolate this because I don't want that in the way. I just want this guy right here. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of these edges because we're in control. All right, so let's do it. Let's just control click these guys. And then let's hold control and remove. Looks janky. It's covered because it doesn't know how to calculate that, so it's going over the top. But trust me, we're gonna get rid of these. Oh, we don't need to get rid of the top. Let's get rid of these. All right, so let's do this edge, and let's get rid of that guy. Double click all the way around, so you get all that. And just in case, let's double click this guy, and then let's control remove. Okay, now since these faces are janky, oh, see, we got them down here too. Got to get rid of those. And then control remove. Okay, so this polygon on both sides, let's just do a select face here. It's terrible. Okay, it is a multi-sided, it's an n-gon, right? So technically it's how many edges? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12. I don't know. It's got a lot of sides. The quickest way we can fix this is we could do an inset on both sides. So we should do it on both sides. We could duplicate it over. We could do a lot of stuff. But it's not symmetrical because this side is a little bit bigger than that side. So let's do an inset here. No, let's cut. We want this side to mimic this side, but look, this face ends there. We actually want this face here. So let's cut that in and let's make sure it lines up. So we'll do a cut right there to right there and then go to vertex mode. I right click to turn the tool off, vertex mode, select that vertex, and then make sure it snaps to the height of that one. Now it looks like we've got a vertex right here, or vertice. Let's just remove those, okay? So just hit remove. Oh God, it went crazy. Sometimes it does that. Because there's a face in the middle? Yep, because there's a face in the middle. So let's get rid of this guy first. Now, let's get rid of those pesky vertices. Down here, there's one on both sides right there. So we hit remove. They're gone. Okay, so now we got these janky faces right here with like 12 sides, right? The quickest way to get rid of them, is just to do an inset, okay? Because it's going to create a contour, and then we're going to have 4-sided polygons that cut in here, and then we're just going to cut off straight over. Or, no, we should do it this way because we don't want to deal with those extra edge loops. Okay, and we can get rid of them afterwards. It's fine. Okay, so let's press inset right there. And we still got some jankiness. Why did we get some jankiness on that side? What is going on there? All right, let's just say okay. Now we're going to delete that. Oh, it's because there's an extra face. You can see this weird, or is it this one? Oh, it's because the inset is too big. They are overlapping. So if we zoom in on the bottom here, because there's a lot of topology down here, let's try that again. Let's inset. Let's make it smaller. Smaller. What's happening with that? It's like there's an extra face hidden in there or something. It's very weird. Oh, it's because we don't want that bottom face. Okay, so we're going to have to clean this up manually because of this piece here. So let's give it a modest amount. Let's do that. Let's say okay. We're going to delete it, and then we're going to rebuild the base here, but we're going to do it to the other side too. So select the other side, and let's inset for the exact same amount. So just hit inset, And notice how this one worked good. We still have this little mark here, but that's because we need to end these edge loops. So let's say, okay, let's clean up this side first. So let's go like this. Let's delete. No, it's because this vertice is stacked up right here. It's this one. It's overlapping. It's causing an issue. So let's just pull that up to right there. Technically, we could just cap this. Cap. Right there. Okay, so, I mean, technically that'd be fine. It looks a little janky, though. So, maybe we should have just... I feel like I'm wasting your time. All right, let's just cut. Let's just be lazy. Let's just cut. This inset business, we don't need to do that. Okay, so instead, let's just use these edges and cut straight over, and then we'll align them like we did the other side. So let's go here to there. Let's go here to there. Let's go here to there. That one's a little tight. And let's go here to there. This one's even tighter. I don't like that. But there. And technically, after we go from there to the top, we'll have all four sided polygons. So let's do the same thing here. Let's go here to there. I guess we didn't need that edge loop. That's just me thinking out loud. It's an option though. Maybe you need a different smoothing option and you want edge loops around the corner. You could do that, but we can go the route this way too. Okay, so let's zoom out here. And then let's make that vertical cut real quick. Let's do that one to right up there. And let's do this one up top. Okay, now we got that top to finish off. Just make sure they are connected. So like right there to there. Okay, now we're actually going to go and use one of the front views here specifically. Oh, geez, we have this. We had that turned off. Anyways, we're going to go to this front view here, and then we're just going to line these up better. Okay, so let's go wireframe override. And let's just try to... Oh, see, I got the wrong cut there. That was supposed to be that one. Okay, so let's just line them up, stack them on top of each other. Make sure your snapping tool is on. Like that. And let's make sure these two are lined up. You can see this is a little jagged there, so just make sure you line this up there. And then this snap, this cut, doesn't look very good. And that's why I wanted to have that inset, because I thought that looked a little bit better. He says. Okay, let's go back to perspective. And let's go back to wireframe unshaded. And or edge faces. So let's check this other side. Yeah, I cut the wrong one vertically. So we are going to double click that edge loop and we're going to control remove, so hold control and press remove. And then we're going to cut this guy differently. So cut tool right there. Select that. And let's go. Let's just go right there. It can be blatantly off center. It doesn't matter. And then this one, let's do this. No. And let's do this guy up to there. And these are a little janky here, but whatever. And then I don't like this edge on both sides. We could put that one vertical too. That's why I wanted to do that inset, like I was saying. I just think it'll be a little nicer. So let's control remove this guy too. And let's just make those cuts real quick. So let's do the cut tool. Just right there. let's go up. Just right click to end the tool. I'm going to do the same thing here. So we're going to get that guy. We're going to go up here. And then let's just make sure these ones connect over the top. Like so. There we go. Okay. Now let's just have them snap to their specific dimension. So make sure your snapping tool is on and go back to vertex mode. Let's go like that. Let's grab one of these at a time and go like this. We could just align it, but this is just as fast for me because I got to click more stuff. And then let's just make sure these are lined up here to that side. Let's get that one lined up vertically to that one. And this one, make sure it's lined up to that one. And then just make sure you do that exact same thing on the other side. So make sure this one is vertically lined up to that one. Same one here. Same one here. There we go. And then it looks like this is off a little bit. Yep, this top one should be snapped to that. And snapped to, oops, undo that. And snap to that. Okay, there we go. Now these are not the best. You know, you probably want to put in an edge loop, maybe, I don't know. But we're just doing this so we can do the symmetry modifier real quick. So let's just finish the magic trick here. And let's put our pieces back in here. So your isolate selection button. Backwards. Okay. And then let's click off this. The symmetry modifier will do the work for us, right? So now we've got this great symmetry. And, you know, I think the top and the bottom, I think they're the same width. But what we're going to do now is add new editable poly. And we're going to get rid of this center line so that we can taper that in. So control and remove. Just like that. And now when we taper this top side, we don't have to worry about moving that middle vertice, because if we did, we wouldn't get it to taper very nicely. So now, if we do the same thing we did before, it doesn't taper a lot, it looks like. So let's do that. And now let's go for the edge mode. And let's select these guys here. Select that one and select the top one. And now we can taper them similarly with the same settings. And we got that nice, see how it tapers inward real nice? And we'll actually add another symmetry modifier on this side. So let's do the chamfer button. So let's up the amount, like maybe to there. And then let's add segments. And I want 5 polygons. Or 4, sorry, 4 on the corner there, just so it matches the other ones. I believe this one is, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So as long as we have 4 segments, well, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Okay, so we'll say okay. And voila. Now we could do the work and slice through. That's probably a good idea. What looks like we need to do also, though, is here, this guy has a cut right in the middle, has this segment missing. So let's add this symmetry modifier here. I got nothing selected, so let's do symmetry again. And of course the symmetry modifier is out to lunch. It's in a really weird spot, so we're going to have to move that now. So let's just pick the right angle first. You can see it's going in this dimension. It's going in, what is that, Z? X. It's going to X. We need to go at, nope, this one. There we go. And if you look, unfortunately it's symmetrying the wrong side, right? So it's getting that side. So there's a flip button right here. And then, voila! And then let's pop this guy in like that. Snap it. And then look at that. We got the backboard to this sucker. We're getting real close. Okay. So I am happy with that. So we'll deselect that. Let's just take a look at what it looks like smoothed real quick. Let's turn on this symmetry modifier too. In the end, when you have a project like this, oh, and what we can do is we can check what it looks like tilted forward. It's getting there, right? Looks like it's kind of right. Maybe my rotation is a little bit much, but in the end, that's kind of the shape. Yeah, and mine's way too thick. Look at that. That's way too thick. Yeah, mine's too thick, but I mean, the idea is there, right? Yeah, this one's pulled in quite a bit. Shit. Well, now we can fix that because we've got this spot right here. We could pull that guy in there. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay. We could just... we could just grab these guys real quick. Just grab, move over here, do one of these. Turn off your snapping tool. I forgot these were outer selections. I don't know how thin they are. But, you know, if we needed to, we could pull that in. It's not a big deal. It's a thing we could fix. Actually, these vertices might be stacked up here, so... vertices might be stacked up right there, because I did two bevels, or two chamfers. And if I just move this, will that give me an extra set? Nope. Okay, so that there's nothing hiding in there. I thought there might be another edge hiding in there, but nope. Okay, so might have to chamfer that and then pull it out just to make it look nice. So yeah, ours is a little thick, but I like them a little thick. Ha! That's an adult joke. Okay, so let's see, what could we do? Well, it's actually getting... oh god, we're at an hour and a half. Okay, okay, so that is off. So we're going to need to pull that in. And I want that to stay. Okay, so let's just finish off today with drilling out the hole. Okay, so we definitely need to add edge loops that go across, but I don't want to do all the cutting to you know, do the nice work I did down here, because I still need to do those edge loops, and we can do those next time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to really quick throw in some editable, or sorry, we're going to throw in a slice. Okay, so let's go to edge mode, and let's hit the slice tool. Slice plane. There we go. Get rid of soft selection. We don't need that. Gross. Okay. And let's rotate this guy 90 degree. 45? 90? I don't know. Whatever. So it's horizontally flat. And let's just pick two spots that are above the chamfer. So maybe about right there. And let's just hit slice. And let's go up here. And let's do the same thing. Like right there. Yeah, see, look at that. Ours is not tall enough, I don't think. This is Bush League. I really should have got the measurements for this. Anyways, we'll adjust it next time. It'll be fine. Okay, so now we got this inner piece. Just go with it. It's close. It's close, right, guys? It's close. It's fine. Nobody's watching this. Okay, so we got that edge loop in there. And it's a little tight. It's a little tight. So let's do one of these. Let's actually slice vertically. Right there. Okay, so let's get that vertical slice in there. And then we can punch that out. And we'll round it out. We're going to call it a night because we're going on way too long. All right. So grab that guy. Just punch it right through. That's a shift and drag. And then because you're classy, let's just chamfer these edges on the inside. Now, the part of the 3D modeler that really matters is your attention to detail. So I am way too deep into this model for this tutorial to want to start over right now, especially because it's kind of just teaching you how to get used to it, and I just kind of picked something at random to model. But I would like to kind of speed go through it and maybe, use the same techniques. Maybe I'll blast through it when you guys aren't looking and clean it up a little bit. So, all right, so let's chamfer this, just be done with it for tonight. And we don't want that. We want uniform, and we want way less segments right there. There we go. Let's say okay. And I think that's where we're going to call it for tonight. Let's check what it looks like with the turbo smooth. Good old turbo smooth. Make sure you've got smoothing group selected. Still janky because we've got some vertices to clean up. It's these ones that are stacked on top of each other. So I'm just doing it quick because I know where everything is. Hit weld. Tra-la-la. Now nothing is stacking over the top, but it would generally be hidden if I didn't feel like doing any more work. Oh, that side's oh, don't look at that side. Don't look at that side. Oh, God, don't look at that side. This side's the good side. Oh, no, that side sucks too. Anyways, we would definitely clean that up because I just wanted to get it done with for tonight. So that's where we're going to leave it for tonight because that took a while. I mean, these are the techniques, but we definitely need to round them out because we need to get our edge loops right so that we don't have any stacking like this. This is just to get the inside shape correct. This chamfer to get a rounded edge. But then it's up to you to work on the edge loops on the inside to really round them out. And unfortunately, that's what takes time. And it's not super fun to look at, but I'm going to get into it next time. Choking on my own rage. Simpsons joke. Anywho, so we'll get into that next time. Let me pop back up to the face mode here. My face mode so you can see me. Thanks for watching, I guess. If you're watching. Like I said, I'm trying to do this pretty frequently, and you can't see the sweat on my forehead. Can't see the sweat on my forehead. That's nice, because it's hot in here. Because I didn't think I'd be going for 2 hours. I guess I didn't think about how long this would go. It's only an hour and a half. However, for an old man like me, it's a little bit much. So, moving on. Let's schedule for another time. It's only a day away. I plan on doing this tomorrow. It's a weekend. I got nothing going on. Yeah, if you like what I do, great. Come back. Check out more. I'm going to do some more. And I'm going to go to my end page here. This is the handle for YouTube. Come and check me out. If you think I'm funny or like what I do, I have a YouTube channel that's just Barbaric Melons and it's cartoons. So if you want to see me do some stupid stuff, there it is. It's awesome. I think they're funny. They're not funny. It's kind of dirty jokes, fart jokes. Those are my favorite jokes. I think I've said enough. And I need something to drink. Yeah. Anywho, you take it easy. Stay beautiful. See you next time.